Hey guys, thanks so much for reading my article this month. One of the things that I touched on really briefly was about making sure that your photography matched the style of post-production that you are trying to accomplish. I consult with people all the time that send me websites and links to other people's work that they want to replicate, and it's impossible ultimately because they're sending me work that is shot at magic hour, it's shot at 1.2, it's backlit. It's everything that the original image isn't. I think that one of the most important things is making sure that your photography actually represents who you are as a photographer, not necessarily somebody else's work. Coming down to it, we have to retool sort of the way things are initially being shot. If you want your images to look a certain way, make sure that your photography is actually representative of what that post-production end result will actually be. I think that when it comes down to it, we live in a world where we think, well, we can just fix it in Photoshop. Well, it might be true, but it's also not necessarily practical. I think that the most practical use of post-production is actually the enhancement of our already great images, not necessarily fixing bad images and making them better. I find that we run into a circumstance where we want to just go out and we just want to go shoot, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but if we don't have the end result in mind, then we're just going out blindly shooting what we want to shoot. I know that a lot of photographers will actually set up shots with the idea of what that final end result in post-production is going to be. We talked about in the article about sort of that base scenario where we're taking a certain set number of images from a wedding, narrowing it down, and then going in doing a handful of artistic images and then a few images that are just totally over the top. And sometimes those over the top images don't happen because we don't want to go in and we don't want to force the post-production side of things. We want to make sure that we're taking great images and enhancing them from there. The images that you see in print competitions such as WPPI and PPA, those images as originals sometimes are a far cry from what the final end result is, but we are still always starting with halfway decent images to make sure that we actually have images that can actually edit to the way that we want them to edit. I think that when we really are, defining actually who we are as a photographer and what our style of post-production is, it is important to stay true to us, and we want to make sure that what we are doing is embodied within the work that we are actually producing. I want to challenge each and every one of you to go out and define who you are as a photographer. Make sure that your work represents you, your style of work represents you, your post-production represents you. That is going to be the best way that you can define yourself as a photographer and stand out from the rest of the crowd. There's no reason to try and force images that aren't going to be edited the way that you want them to edit. Make sure that what you are shooting initially is going to be the best use of your post-production, and the post-production is going to be the best use of what that photography is. Thanks again, guys, and we'll talk to you next month.